Okay.
Hey guys, it's Fred and Sheila McCoy. We've been doing some videos at the museum today, and as I come home was reviewing one of them, I was talking about reading the stuff in the yellow. That was the very important stuff, and it is the important stuff when dealing with Hubert Bay McCoy.
Right.
And then when I got home, I started reading the other part of what Fetty had told the Huntington Herald Dispatch, and it hit me that I had to respond. I had to cover this because it's very untrue, and it's very sad, and it's exactly how the history of Randall McCoy and Sarah and the McCoy family on the Kentucky side has been treated throughout the years, and the slanderous remarks that's been made and spoken into history.
Sad.
And, when we finally got a handle on this story, you can have the general idea of Family Feud, post-Civil War, the Romeo and Juliet story, and you have the light shining my way. But anyway, it says you had these two men that was, I'm just going to get my glasses.
Okay, go
It
ahead.
says you had these two men that was that was once big friends, Randall McCoy and Darrell Lance, and were Civil War comrades. Well, they were Civil War comrades until Darrell Lance chickened out and run home and left Randall and Uriah McCoy to fight and fend for themselves. Most historians confirm, most. So that gives you a starting point, what happens between two friends when disagreements build to resentment, and resentment to bitterness, and bitterness to hate. That is the human, relatable story. He's talking about Shakespeare, and he goes down here and he says, American tragedy. Randall McCoy could not forgive. He started out as a righteous and holy man who always believed you've got to do your duty. He went to the dark side, whereas Darrell Lance was more of an instinctive, live by your wits man. He used to say he was a member of the World Church. No,
Wrong.
He said he was a member of the Devil's Church.
Yeah.
That's what he called it back then.
Yeah.
But Ance ended up being baptized and becoming a very respected member of the community. That is a pretty strong story, and you have a great subplot with a Hatfield son falling in love with the McCoy's daughter. Now that's going to kick off here in a minute.
Yeah.
And but at least I got to read it, so it's on your paper.
Video.
This story is going to follow the story that we just done, that is titled Alan Hatfield Was Not a John Wayne. And let me tell you something. That's our story started off as Alan Hatfield and killing Hubert Bay McCoy. But when I see this, and this is by Darrell Fetty, it's just very disappointing.
Sad.
First of all, it talks about Randall McCoy went to the dark side. When did Randall McCoy go to the dark side? Randall McCoy was hurt. He lost his family. Randall McCoy, it says here, could not forgive. This paper is on the other video, so you can close in on it and read it better.
Right.
Randall McCoy could not forgive. We just covered a video on this yesterday, I believe it was, when we was talking about Jim McCoy, when they asked him to forgive Darrell Lance to drop the charges and so forth, and could not forgive. Randall McCoy lost 6 members of his family are buried on the one hill, the one graveyard. 5 of his kids were murdered. They were slaughtered. One of them laid there and died beside the cemetery at the grave because his brother was killed instead of him. He was actually the one that done some of the stabbing, but he died also. So there's 6 kids. Now, he done lost his brother. He done lost his nephew. And when he lost Rosanna at 29 years old, Randall McCoy always said, I've lost my 7th child to the feud. He blamed that on the feud. They may not have killed her with a knife or shot her with a gun.
She's heartbroken.
She was heartbroken.
By Hatfield.
And we think Johnsy was heartbroken. He married 4 times, buried beside his mom and dad. Not one of his wives is he buried beside of. Yeah. He was in love with Rosanna, contrary to what they say. But I'm not on that story. I'm on this story here where he says that Darrell Lance said he was a member of the World's Church. There's never been a mention of the world's church. Devil Anse told T.C. Crawford he was a member of the devil's church. That's back when he was hell-bent and all this and that. And maybe he did join church. Maybe he got right. Maybe he's in heaven today. I hope he is.
I hope so.
Hope he is. But boys, my dad used to say, Fetty, you never have to make somebody else look bad for yourself to look good. If you're doing that, you're messing up. If you're doing that, you're doing something that ain't right. And they had taken Randall McCoy that lost half of his family, and I'm half Hatfield. I'm not sticking up for Randall McCoy because I'm a McCoy surname. I'm half Hatfield. I'd be taking up for Devil Anse Hatfield if he was done dirty. You know, I've said for years, if Devil Anse Hatfield would have taken those 3 McCoy boys when he took them from the constables that day, if he would have taken them from the constables, pulled out his gun, and shot and killed all 3 of them, so be it. You're in the heat of the moment. Your brother's been stabbed. He's been shot. You kill him. But when you take these 3 boys and you keep them for 2 days, and you torment them, and you punish them, and you talk crap and all this and that, and threaten them, and you have plenty of time for your mind to slow down. You're not in the heat of the moment. You're thinking rational at certain times, and you're thinking, should I do this? Should I? And especially once they brought word to him, and they said, Ants, you got the wrong boy. He's 15 years old. He didn't do anything. And then at the end of the day, he turns around when he tells the boy to get on his knees and beg, and he'll let him live. And the boy says, go to hell, Ants Hatfield. And he turns around and blows the little 15-year-old boy's head off. And you got a story like that. That story there is in the Tri-County, the Herald-Dispatch in Huntington, West Virginia. And the date's on the other side. Go Google the story. Google Herald-Dispatch, Huntington, West Virginia, Darrell, Fetty, Hatfield-McCoy feud. It'll come up. And there's the story. And that's how this man, he just got through on the other side saying the boy had been shot 3 times, I think is what he says. I think Rio in this one says twice. Like I said, it's been anywhere from 2
the
to
boy
5.
or
Hubert Bay.
Okay.
Hubert Bay was shot that many times. And but this is the reason the miniseries was so screwed up. This would have been a great movie. I heard one time that Brad Pitt was going to do a retake of it. I wish somebody out there would do a retake of the Hatfield-McCoy feud and do it correctly. Do it in Pike County. Do it in Logan County, West Virginia. Let those people bring some tourism. Bring your local actors. There's people there that could do it. And do it with substance. Do it with facts. Do it in a way that you don't have to cover up. Devil Anse was a deserter. I was reading a story down our day in our book that we did, and I forget the Hatfield's name. It was written by a Hatfield. We'll do a story on it. It's coming. But he actually wrote in there, and he's a Hatfield. And he said that Devil Anse's service in the military in the Civil War was questionable. He went ahead and said Devil Anse was a deserter. And he told all this history, and he's a Hatfield. So there are good West Virginia Hatfields out there. There's good West Virginia McCoys, good Kentucky. There's good and bad in everything. But this Hatfield of this book, I'm trying to remember the name. I think it's the book that's got the guy with a horse on it on the front. But I'll find it tomorrow or when we go back down Saturday to the museum. But for right now, I wanted to do a story on that little part right there. And that's Fetty. That's Fetty's name. And Fetty's talking to the reporter. And that's the story that he's given. But Ants ended up being baptized and becoming a respected member of the community. Ants was never a respected member of the community. Ants was a murderer that had murder warrants on him. Okay.
Yeah.
Had murder warrants on him when he died. This man went to his grave. He may have went to the water and was baptized, and hopefully God forgave him. But usually when you're forgiven and you're baptized, you want to make it right in your heart. That's when he should have went to Kentucky and said, hey, I'm here to account for my sins or the Bible says obey the law of the land. That's when he should have done that. He never done that. He never done that. So was he saved? I don't know. But usually when a person's saved, they want to make everything right. When they've done somebody wrong, they want to right it. And he definitely done Randall McCoy wrong. He never tried to right it. So you're saying Devil Anse was saved and honored by the community? Go back and look through the T.C. Crawford book review that we did. Go back and look. You don't have to take our word for it. We're standing there telling the camera what the man says and what the book says. We're not saying that. We're telling you what his book says. And what his book says is that he tried to interview several of Devil Anse's acquaintances and neighbors. And what does T.C. Crawford say? They were too scared. They wouldn't give me one scrap, was the word he used. They wouldn't give me one scrap of information. They didn't want to take on Devil Anse, the wrath of Devil Anse Hatfield or Cap Hatfield. That's a wrath that they didn't want. Just like has been down on the McCoys for all the years. What do you think? Jimmy Wolford knew the history. Jimmy Wolford knew what went on during the feud. But he tried to cater to the Hatfields because that was the ones. He not only told us this, he told his grandfather, different people. There's newspaper articles out there where he talked to other people and they talked. It's sad. I mean, it's sad, and I know people wonder why, after 140, 150 years, why's Fred getting so... Guys, I would get this excited over any of you. I would get this aggravated over anybody that was misrepresented or unjustly...
Had been done wrong.
Had been done injustice like this. This is totally... it just never ceases. This is 2012.
Yeah.
This man gave this story in 2012, and he just spoke into history what Altina spoke into history in 1988 when she done her book, and what Thomas Dodson spoke into history in 2015 or 16 when he done his book, and what all these people, they follow each other, and it's just so sad. And so wrong. There's no need in beating a dead horse. If you ain't picked up on it by now and can't go read this story, I don't know what she'll title this, but it's definitely going to follow the video.
It'll probably be part 2. Alan Hatfield is no John Wayne.
And we'll title it something to get your attention, because that is so... I didn't realize that till we got home and started looking at the video.
Yeah, we'll look and see. It could be the part 2 or... whatever, we'll change. We'll see what we want.
Hey, it's Fred and Sheila McCoy. I'm not going to take the camera and put it on her because we're at our house.
Yep.
And our house is for sale and it's practically empty. Yeah. We've got we're moving to Liberty where the museum is. And but Sheila's got something to say.
Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a great evening. Bye.